All right, guys. So I'm sure you guys are familiar with Steven Crowder. I mean, he's basically one of the biggest, if not the biggest, conservative talking head on YouTube, as he actually adds, a little bit of comedy into his show. And I mean, it's pretty entertaining stuff. Now, Crowder had mysteriously disappeared, I think in about December or so. He just disappeared, and it almost seemed like he fell off the face of the planet. And I didn't start to notice because a lot of times, when I'm getting ideas on how to do videos or what topics to talk about, or just to see what other folks are talking about, I'll search around to my channels, right? And Steven Crowder is one of the channels that I do like to check to see, what is he talking about. And I just hadn't seen it lately. So, I started to become kind of concerned. I checked his Twitter, checked his social media. It just can kind of seem like he started to fall off the face of the earth. But a few days ago, he came out with a message, basically letting everybody know he was okay. I think he was, responding to some current events. And then he did a video about, the future of, his channel, what he's going to do, some personal stuff going on. And he definitely had some personal issues going on. And then he said he had a big announcement to make. And he was going to make an announcement on the first day of Black History Month. And on the first day of Black History Month, Steven Crowder has announced that he is suing Facebook, which for a lot of us is probably a good thing, right? Somebody like Steven Crowder, obviously standing up to big tech is, it's a significant thing in regards to the fight against big tech. So let's read a little bit more about why Crowder is doing this. Conservative host Steven Crowder said Monday that he is suing Facebook over, quote, unfair competition, fraud, false advertising, and antitrust. Crowder attorney Bill Richmond said on Crowder's YouTube channel that the lawsuit is already initiated and accused the tech giant of false advertising, antitrust violations, unfair competition, and fraud. Quote, the key remedy is injunctive relief to stop unfair/deceptive practices. We're also seeking 7-figure monetary damages. The goal here is forcing honesty and clarity in policy application and enforcement, according to Crowder's website. Our broader point is that we are pro-business, but anti-fraud. Facebook lured consumers and creators to spend money and provide data and views under the promise of not engaging in political, racial, or religious bias in enforcing their policies, but they have done so both expressly and secretly, and hence the suit. In the YouTube clip, Crowder said his November 3rd election live stream was allegedly cut off in the midst of his coverage. Crowder said he was never provided a reason for why the stream was purportedly taken down. Quote, they removed the biggest stream that has ever existed from the biggest platform that's ever existed with no reason, he said. All right, so this is actually pretty interesting because his argument, it sounds like, is that Facebook essentially has creators and users in which we provide data, we provide views under the promise that, there won't be any discrimination in regards to political, racist, or religious bias in regards to enforcing their policies. Now, that's actually a very interesting argument because, again, I mean, nobody signs up for Facebook or YouTube or Twitter thinking that, there's going to be some type of bias against their views, right? Everybody signs up thinking that, okay, my view, I can express my views, and that for the most part, as long as it's not any direct threats of violence, I'll be fine. At least that's how it should be. But what Crowder is basically saying is that, no, you're operating under the premise that, you have no bias. However, you do, and you have people spending money and providing data and views for you and your company, while also, again, discriminating against people solely based off political status or race or religion. Okay? So, this is kind of a direct shot at Facebook in regards to their censorship. And at the very least, Facebook has to be more transparent about what their actual policies are. And this, honestly, is a reoccurring theme when it comes to these big tech companies, right? It's notorious that, Twitter, Facebook, Google, whoever, it's notorious that anytime you're trying to contact them, anytime you try to discuss specifically what rule you're breaking, how your content may have violated, whatever policies, they're very vague, right? They just say, oh, we have these terms of service. We just think your content violated it. They don't get into specifics. And I think them not getting into specifics, these companies not having a whole team of people that can thoroughly evaluate why your content is taken down or why you're being censored and telling you the exact reason. I think that really hurts them in a sense that the lack of transparency makes it so people can say that they are engaging in some type of political, racist, or religious bias. For sure. Right? And the thing is that, like, what other conclusion would I come to if you can't give me a solid reason for why my content has been taken down outside of something vague? And again, guys, this is something that I've dealt with as well, too. You really don't get much information in terms of why you may have violated the terms of service. They don't tell you exactly what you said or what you did that led it to be taken down. And that's not really fair for the creator, because the creator, at the end of the day, yes, we need to read the policies, but at the end of the day, we may interpret the policies different than, the platform interprets the policy. So I think that these platforms need to do a better job of, telling us exactly what is against that policy. And if you can't tell us that, then it's right for us to assume that there's some type of political bias, right? Because otherwise, why else would you not be transparent? I mean, I understand the cost of having people do that, but at the same time, I think that helps create a platform where you have more people that are advertiser friendly. If you let people know exactly what can and can't be said, that kind of helps in the long run. It makes it so you don't have to police as hard, because people understand exactly what they can and can't say. That's just my opinion on that. But I think it's interesting that, Crowder is doing this. Now, his website also accused Facebook of reducing reach of certain pages and has favored certain news outlets over others. A number of conservatives, including then President Donald Trump, were suspended from Facebook and other social media platforms following the event at the Capitol on January 6th. Over the years, conservatives have complained that big tech firms are censoring or throttling right-wing news and pages, prompting Trump and others to consider repealing Section 230 of the Communications Decency Act that serves as a liability shield for social media websites and others. We're prepared to take the lawsuit as far as we need to, including to the United States Supreme Court, Crowder said. Crowder made reference to the lawsuit on Sunday afternoon and tweeted, quote, "I don't know what will happen February 2nd, but tomorrow we will not self-censor. We will not be bullied, silenced, or intimidated. We will kneel for no one." Conservative commentator Candace Owens in November 2020 announced a lawsuit against Facebook fact checkers, including USA Today and Lead Stories, a website that is funded in part by Chinese Communist Party firm ByteDance. Quote, "It is time to fact check the fact checkers," Owens said at the time. "I'm going to put these suckers through discovery and figure out what the relationship is that they have with Facebook." Candace Owens, guys, if you guys remember, she is going after the fact checkers, right? I think one of the fact checkers, she had ended up getting a statement reversed and actually a fact check flag taken down off one of her posts. And this was about the election. I did a video on that. You guys can, watch it if you want to be familiar with what Candace Owens is doing. But yeah, Crowder's lawsuit is scheduled to be filed in a U.S. District Court for the Northern District of California. I think, obviously, this is a good thing, right? I think that big conservative names like Steven Crowder, like Candace Owens, those people that are getting discriminated against have to step up, okay? They have to step up. They have to step up because they have the funds, they have the capital to do so, and they have to start suing. They have to start suing. They have to start going to court, making their voices heard in order to stop this. Because, quite honestly, guys, can we rely on our politicians at this point? Right? Like, what have our politicians really done? They haven't done anything. So, at this point, it comes down to the conservative media voices to do what they need to do to make, their voices heard about this type of censorship. Okay? So, obviously, I think that this is, a good thing. I think this is a step in the right direction. I would like to see others like Ben Shapiro, kind of get behind this as well. Because again, the bigger the names, the more money behind it, the more attention brought to it, the more likely that we're going to get some type of progress on this. Now, also something else I want to address, that this is important because, guys, conservatives need to be able to stay on these platforms, guys. I mean, most people are using YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. You don't want to be kicked off these sites, right? You want to be able to stay on these sites because ultimately, at the end of the day, you're trying to have your voice heard, not just by people who agree with you, but by others who don't agree with you. That's the whole point. The whole point of wanting to be on a Google or Facebook or Twitter is not just the money. It's about the fact that we are trying to reach people who don't necessarily agree with us. We're trying to change people's opinions. Okay? So you have to fight to be on these platforms. You have to want to be on these platforms. And, a lot of people just say, you know what, forget it. If they don't want me, I'm going to leave. That's fine. I don't have any problems with that. But at the same time, if you give up and if you don't fight back against it, if you don't push back, ultimately it's going to be hard to actually make your voice heard and to create the impact that you actually want to create. Because, let's be honest, these other platforms, guys, they just don't have the same audience size. They just don't. Okay? So, it's important for people like Candace Owens and Steven Crowder to want to stay on these mainstream platforms and to fight for us to stay on these mainstream platforms. So that's why, I think this is good. I'm glad that Crowder is back. I'm glad that he's doing okay. Whatever issues he's having personally, I hope he works those out, but he seems like he's going to be back. So let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.